This is Dr. Jerome Corsi, and today it is Monday. It's September 9th, 2024. We've been doing quite a lot of work on gods5stones.com. If we take a look there, that's where we've been doing the reporting on the election fraud. And God's 5 Stones is a 501c3. You can donate. But really, I want you to look at the website itself, start studying what we're doing, because I'm going to add a lot of material to it this week. We've done a series of, basically it starts with Andrew Paquette's work. And Andrew Paquette is a computer genius, a guy in New York, really found algorithms, which are secret code, really intelligence agency level code, written into the New York State voter registration database. And we're finding that these irregularities are occurring across the country. We're going to post in this coming week analyses in New Jersey, which also has algorithms in the database. We're doing an investigation in Ohio. We'll be presenting to Ohio hopefully this week, if not next week, but we're very close to getting a preliminary report ready for Ohio. And we will be able to show Ohio the kind of irregularities we're finding in other states. I just got back from Oklahoma, and there's a section in there on the God's 5 Stones on the Oklahoma. Andrew Paquette did a preliminary analysis of the voter rolls. In Oklahoma is an extremely interesting situation, because I'm going to have to do a write-up about this, but there's an attempt to steal a mayoral election in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was there last week in Tulsa. And a conservative candidate who's a business owner, a guy who's had a reputation as a lawyer. He has been a pastor. The left ran too woke against him. And they basically are using a data set from the Oklahoma voter registration voting roll, where there's something like 170,000 different people who are registered in Oklahoma before they were born. Clones, these are probably 3,500 clones, 179,598, 7.5% of the records have a registration date that's earlier than the date of birth in the record. Okay, how could that be? Scatter plots are all over the place. Scatter plots indicate a lot of the type of voter irregularities that we can see, because this is the first step in a complex plot, which is essentially a card marking scheme in cryptography, where you have to rearrange the deck before you can insert the cards you've marked. So you can't have voter registration rolls that reflect the date of registration, because that gives them a natural order. You've got to break the natural order. Then you can put in fake cards. Okay, I'm going to explain that in an article I'm going to put together later today and start working on that. But what we're seeing here is that across the country, and I've been doing a lot of traveling. I'm going to continue traveling, because I think we're seeing that these different states that we go to, each one of these states has its own unique problems. But among the things that the Democrats do is that they try to gerrymander sections together. So in Tulsa, the minority populations were in the north. So they gerrymandered some of another county into Tulsa to vote for the mayor, to expand the number of minorities they could get. Then they go through, the Democrats that go through, and they harvest registrations in these areas by just anybody who wants alive, not alive, dead, nursing home, just get the name. Because what the Democrats are gaming is to get somebody on the registration who can get a legitimate state ID to vote. Whether the person exists or not doesn't matter to them. The game is get as many state voter IDs as you can get. That way they can have lots of different ways they can vote those people. Whether or not the people actually exist doesn't matter. So these registration spikes usually occur around election years where the Democrats are busy out there getting signatures. The algorithms that are in traditionally are at this stage of the analysis, we're not sure there's algorithms yet in Oklahoma. There may be, there may not be. It's too early to tell. But we do know we're seeing the kinds of records that were indicating that there's plenty of wrong with the Oklahoma voter base maintained by the Oklahoma Secretary of State. The secretaries of states all think that they're doing a good job. But the fact is, all they're doing is they're cleaning up the people who have moved or the people who have died. Well, those aren't the fake voters that the criminals are interested in. Democratic criminals want voters who are false voters, not real, that they make up. Then they embed within the voter registration file, so only they know that they are not real. These others are just throwaways as far as the Democrats are concerned. You can clean up all the people who moved, all the people who died. That's all fine with them. They don't care because they've got, in New York State, they've got 300,000 fake names created within the voter registration database you'll never find. These are cryptography schemes, and we're exposing them. And by the time we're done here, we'll have shown the country, I believe, that the intelligence agencies are now running our elections, because these are intelligence agency quality manipulations of the state voter database. This requires intelligence level capabilities with computers. This is not some kid in the garage with his father's computer. These are highly sophisticated mathematical algorithms or formulas and different kinds of cryptology techniques, different, schemes for sorting data, hiding data that are being used by those who are operatives working from within the State Board of Election under the supervision of the Secretary of State of the state, but they're doing this covertly, I assume, without the approval or knowledge of the Secretary of the State. Of course, unless they're a Democrat, then they're probably in on the scheme. But this is a way to make our elections worth nothing, because you could run the entire election by a computer simulation, and then vote the computer simulation. And I defy that anyone be able to tell the difference. Because again, as a political scientist, I know you can profile an election so that your simulation could be very close to the reality. In fact, it might be better than the reality, more easily understood. And don't doubt, Klaus Schwab's already saying we don't need voters. They're already beyond voters because they can run the elections without voters. They don't need voters. They'll just make the elections turn out the way they want them to turn out. Okay, now we're going into the debate here between Trump and Kamala, which is supposed to be tomorrow night. And that's going to be very entertaining. I can't wait to see how Kamala does. I'm sure she's going to be a disaster. And the Democrats are, I'm sure, huddling away trying to figure out how they're going to prevent another blowout, as happened with Biden in his debate with Trump. But Biden destroyed his career. Of course, Biden's career had been destroyed so many times before, and he was so corrupt. I mean, the idea, just take a look at this for a minute from an objective point of view. It's how I'm looking at the election. Right now, we're very focused on the election. Those of you heard me, I was on Coast to Coast AM last night, or on Saturday night, for 2 hours, talking about the elections, talking about my Kennedy book, talking about how the intelligence agencies have been running a Truman Show from at least the time of Jack Kennedy's assassination. So now Trump is going to confront Kamala. Kamala doesn't have an idea in her head that isn't neo-Marxist. She was raised by neo-Marxists. She was cultivated to be a neo-Marxist. She wants to release, of course, the Democrats have a really attractive set of policies they're running on. I mean, let's take our kids and mutilate them sexually in the schools, convince them that they're boys are girls and girls are boys. That's a waste of time. Kids aren't even at puberty. They don't know what you're talking about. But that's okay. Let's mutilate them anyway, so they won't ever procreate. Because, the Democrats now are just a satanic party, and Satan hates life. And then we can have a convention. We'll have free mastectomies. We'll get mastectomies. Anything you want cut off, we'll cut off. And by the way, you're pregnant, we'll get rid of the pregnancy. Don't worry. We'll kill the fetus. We're in the business of cutting you apart. We're transhuman. And isn't it fun? Look at we can play God. Isn't it fun? We can tear people apart. We can throw this part away, that part away. We'll put an artificial one in. Don't worry about it. You don't need babies. Babies are stinking babies. We don't need no stinking babies. So let's get rid of all the fetuses. Don't worry about contraception or abstinence. We got sex parties going on in the street with gay men and gay men with hooplas and acts like they're cheerleaders walking in parades. I mean, I've seen some of these things. They're bizarre. I've seen things on this planet like this since the last days of ancient Rome. Naked men walking through the streets with tambourines. Give me a break. Meanwhile, you've got wars going on in Ukraine, and Putin is over there trying to say, I'm not going to go to nuclear war today. I'm not going to go to nuclear war today. Well, meanwhile, NATO's in there sending F-16s to Zelensky. Zelensky's doing crack cocaine, and they're doing drugs. We've got all this money. So why not just do drugs? CIA will be happy to provide them drugs. CIA is running drug trade down on the border. You need fentanyl? Sure. No problem. No problemo. Need some Venezuelan gangs to take over your city? No problemo. Got plenty of Venezuelan gangs. How many do you want? They'll just come and take over your neighborhood. We don't have any police. Police were racist. We got rid of the police. We solved that problem. Cities are unlivable. Don't worry about it. But, we'll just have all the minorities in the cities, and we'll pile in the criminals and the Venezuelans and the gangs and the Democrats. Let them all go broke. Of course, that's happening anyway, since we're spending trillions and trillions of dollars we don't have every day with the Treasury. Just keep the party going. A bon temps roulette. Let's just keep going. Let's have fun. Pop some more champagne. Meanwhile, our debt repayment is $1 trillion a year, and the middle class can't afford to go to McDonald's. Restaurants are closing all over the country, and shops are closing. People are losing their businesses. Pretty soon they'll start losing their homes. That's a good idea. Let's vote for more Democrats. And let's see, what are we going to do in the schools? Well, we don't need to teach the kids anything because they're pretty busy on their communist re-education program, being taught how bad and evil the United States is. Racist country, slave nation. We had slavery. Forget about the Civil War. That was just a little detail. That we got rid of slavery, that we've been struggling with the question of race now since our founding. Don't worry about it. We're a racist country. Cancel out America. That's great. Teach your citizens to hate America. The up-and-coming generation to hate America. That's good. What are they going to do for jobs? But we don't need no stinking jobs. We send the jobs to China. Remember, we have NAFTA. We send the jobs to Mexico. We didn't need any stinking jobs. And besides that, what else is the Democratic Party? Well, let's all have electric vehicles. We don't have any charging stations. They freeze up during the winter. And by the way, if it runs out of batteries, you can't get out of the thing because it locks itself down. Can't move them. They're basically electronic junk. You got a computer on wheels that needs to be pumped up with electricity and no chargers anywhere to be found. And that's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't put it in your garage because a lithium battery might catch on fire and burn your house down. Great idea. Let's put a windmill on a car. Maybe we can run a car with wind power. The Democrats have got the most stupid ideas in the world. Climate change. Well, you can take a look at my book, The Truth About Energy, Climate Change, and Global Warming. Carbon dioxide is a minor molecule in the atmosphere. But that's okay. Let's completely re-engineer our electric system. Well, wait until the fall when your electric bills are going to skyrocket. They're going to go up between 10 and 15%. And that's already built in. So there we go. Another useless electric vehicle. But it's got nice computers in it. So it's like, driving your computer down the road. By the way, if you get into an accident, they cost thousands of dollars to fix because everything's electronic. There's nothing mechanical in these cars at all. Okay, the Tesla, even the handles, the doors open weird. They have a sunroof because they had to reduce the weight of the damn thing to get it to be possibly able to be moved at all. These things weigh a ton. Batteries alone weigh a ton. That's okay. Don't worry about it. It wasn't meant to work. It's meant to fail. They're depopulationists. They want to kill people. That's okay. That's a great agenda. So the Democrats are running on open borders, drugs, homelessness, gangs, Venezuelan gangs taking over the cities, getting the prisoners out of the jail, getting rid of the police, bankrupting the country, moving in millions of illegal immigrants, all of whom get free health care, free credit cards. And Camilla thinks it's really funny. Ha, ha, ha. All she does is cackle, cackle, cackle. A satanic cackle. I mean, I don't know when she was inducted into the ritual, but she certainly got into it somehow or other. These people are completely nuts. So if you like Satan, this is your party. If you like evil, vote here. And so the only way the Democrats, they have now Obama, who says, well, we got Kamala was my choice. Well, he's stuck with her now. Nobody else wanted her. So now they're saying they're gaslighting. Oh, look at her polls. She's just brilliant. Look at, she's so funny. She's so attractive. But is she black? Oh, don't ask that question. That you're racist. Well, what is she? Where did she come from? Well, don't question her ideas. She's a woman. That qualifies her to identity politics. We need a woman. We need a woman of color to be president. So it's Kamala. Well, no one wanted Kamala. And then you've got this other guy, Wall, who is, I don't know what's wrong with him. Somebody comes out and jerks all over the stage. Then his family hates him. He claims he was in combat. He wasn't in combat. And just like a Biden, these people make up stuff. Got all kinds of stories about themselves. Here's this guy. This is the worst. This is the worst candidate pair since George Wallace. Remember 1968? Remember, he was a racist. He was the one that wanted to keep blacks out of the schools. People don't remember history, but that's George Wallace. And his running mate was Curtis LeMay. Well, Curtis LeMay, World War II, ran strategic bombing. He firebombed Germany. Learned how to create firestorms, sucked all the energy out of Dresden. All the oxygen came up. Well, people died of asphyxiation. They weren't just burned to death. They died of asphyxiation. Firestorms in these cities. Then he bombed Japan. Dropped 2 atomic bombs on it. Jack Kennedy was in the White House, Cuban Missile Crisis. Curtis LeMay smoking a cigar. 1 or 2 alcohol nuclear war with the Soviet Union. JFK's assassination. I document this in my book, The Final Analysis. Curtis LeMay was at the autopsy smoking a cigar, celebrating Kennedy was dead. They killed Kennedy. Got rid of that son of a bee because Kennedy wouldn't go to war. All good Americans like to go to war. It's a perpetual war. Let's have just this war, that war. Doesn't matter if we win them or lose them. The point of the war is to make arms, produce arms, kill people. It isn't to win or lose. It's to have perpetual war. Okay, so therefore, the Democrats are good at this. The Democrats are the party of war, the party of economic destruction, the party of get a check, buy a car, government will send you money for free, especially if you're an illegal immigrant, come across the border. The government, don't worry about the CIA running the drug trade and pedophilia. Don't investigate the CIA running our elections. CIA's in control. Everything's good. Play the music. Let's get the band going. Titanic may be going down, but let's get the band going. So we can't have Biden because clearly his numbers aren't good enough, and we try to steal the election Biden will be too far away. So let's get Kamala and Wall. We get these two jokers, but don't let them say anything. Because if they talk about anybody hears them say anything, people are going to run for the hills. We'll just have a poll come out and say that Kamala's beating Trump in her mind, maybe in her dreams. The American people are sick of this charade. The only way they could possibly think that these two could be sold, there's Biden and Kamala, is that they steal the election. So their plan is to steal the election. And that's why I'm doing as much as I'm doing with the algorithms to show you how our databases at the state voter registration level maintained by the secretaries of state are probably corrupt in every single state of the union, rigged by Democrats with the prize of getting in dead people. No, those are too easy. People who are completely fabricated, people who are cloned, people who are made up, people who don't exist, but yet have official state voter IDs. And where the investigation's going on in Ohio, it's going to continue going on. If the Democrats can't steal, they can't win. They can't lie. They can't give a speech. If they can't steal from you, or threaten your home, or alter your children, or some other satanic idea, they don't have an idea. I've never seen anything like this in my life. The party can actually run on Satan's agenda. Well, Satan's a depopulationist. Wants to kill people so he can harvest their souls for hell. But he forgot to ask people if they want to be depopulated. How about euthanasia? Do us all a favor. Kill yourself. Make it easy. You'll die anyway. What are you waiting for? You're pretty worthless. What are you doing to produce anything? Well, I know you want a job. Well, you can't get a job. So you're worthless. We don't need you. We can produce jobs in China. Machines will produce the food. We don't need you. Okay, now these ideas are so insane that only the Democrats in their wildest World Economic Forum delusions of transhumanism could be seduced by this nonsense. And Chris will show my book on the truth about neo-Marxism, cultural Maoism, and anarchy. I explain how this insane ideology developed. And again, those of you who still are reading, you'll find there an explanation of how we got here by modernists like Baudrillard, another French coffee shop, a cafe intellectual who says that everything is a simulation. There is no reality. There is no objective truth. The objective truth, Baudrillard, is that you're going to be in hell, and you can talk to the devil about whether there's objective truth. The reality here is that we're going through a very, very dark period of time, and we're fighting it very hard here on thetruthcentral.com. But when you look at the headlines every day, it's discouraging because it looks like we're losing. But the reality is we're not losing. The reality is that God is still in control. And so as I go through the day thinking about the different stories that are developing, and by the way, the Gateway Pundit, I've been publishing things on the Gateway Pundit. I'll do more this week on the voter fraud. The voter fraud has got to stop. So, the Ohio resident horrified after spotting a missing cat hanging from a branch being carved up for food by Haitian migrants. Okay, here's the Democrats. Okay, 18-year-old Florida high school football player dies after collapsing during games. Sure, he wasn't vaccinated. 67-year-old Las Vegas Republican candidate brutally slashed by knife-wielding thug while putting up campaign signs. These are insanity. These people are insane, and they shouldn't be in charge. Okay, and we've got a war going on in the Middle East, which is expanding. Israel, I think, forestalled an attack by Hezbollah. by launching a massive offensive itself. Israel's now massively going into the tunnels, and that war has the potential to expand any day. So the debate tomorrow is going to be interesting to see if Kamala can perform at all. See what kind of a fool she can make of herself. And in the meantime, the country's worrying about survival, and increasingly worried about survival when the middle class can't put food on the table for the kids. These are the real issues of the day. And if you just peruse, for instance, I start the morning off by going to Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge covers stories which are not going to be covered elsewhere. So the lead story in Zero Hedge right now is can't take it anymore. Residents of Springfield, Ohio beg for help after 20,000 Haitians overwhelm the city and they eat the local wildlife. Well, they'll eat your cats and dogs. Okay, so let's see what else they say. Toyota slashes EV output by 30% for 2026. Keeping with innumerable automakers, they're cutting back investment and production into electric vehicles. Toyota has become the latest to slow its EV production. Can't sell these things. Toyota, which has prioritized hybrid vehicles, sold 100,000 EVs in 2023, 80,000 between January and July this year. But the slowing of production means that they're abandoning the goal to go to electric by 2025 or 2030. Certainly by 2025, impossible. They're losing money on every electric vehicle they produce. Illinois Trucking Company with 480 drivers abruptly ceases operations. Okay, as it goes on, Germany rejects carbon credit certificates over alleged China fraud. The world is in a dismal position, and we're going to suffer a judgment of God because we have abandoned God's law. And let God be taken out of our schools, let God be taken out of our homes and our marriages, our lives. But in the end, God always wins. And I'm confident that if we continue to press these issues, Donald Trump will not solve everything. I've constantly said, I said 3 times on my coast-to-coast presentation, move the entire federal government to Death Valley, all the agencies, all the unelected bureaucrats, give them all solar and wind they want. Goodbye. That's where you work from now on. Report for the duty in Death Valley if you want a job. Get out of the comfortable bubble of the Beltway. It's going to be a difficult time. It's going to be a tough ride. And probably the rest of this week or much of this week, I'll be traveling again and continue to follow this site because we are going to lead the charge in explaining how the voter fraud is massive. We're trying to shut down the voter fraud to the extent we can between now and the election. And the end, God always wins. God's going to win here too. God is sovereign. The end of the story has already been written. Please continue to follow us here and on gods5stones.com. In conclusion, my book on the anti-globalist manifesto is out now, Winning the War on Humanity. We'll be doing more about that into the fall. After the election, we'll be shifting. We're going to be opening the Anti-Globalist Alliance and encouraging you to join us there. This is Dr. Jerome Corsi. Today it's Monday, September 9th, 2024. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back every weekday with more podcasts. God bless.